One thing I'm gonna always do is to continuously show what they do to me and continuously address it. Uh, you see this thing, it doesn't take much for them to do these pedophilia things. In the background over there, you see like a kid, like a 7-8 year old kid or so. Even though you don't see much, they obviously gonna do the nasty pedophilia things. With me, what I've been wanting to do is they want you to identify with the things that make you experience. I've been obviously showing the patterns of what they've been doing to me and comparing to the testimonials from others, showing the patterns that what they do to me is not only done to me but done to others. And they've been trying to create some mental battles to get you to accept, to get me to accept these manipulations. It's obvious that they've been doing these tactics before. And it's obvious they've been forcing you to experience things in these disturbing pedophilia ways. I can make these things 1,000,000,000 times, 1,000,000 times if I need to. I will continuously show that these people have been using these tactics to break people down. In my mind, I like to always describe what's happening to my brain, in my brain, as they try to make me accept this. These people force you to get experiences that are so disgusting. For example, I'm looking at this. They give me stimulations, nasty, and they, because I'm not even want to look at this kid. They make me imagine this kid, like an imaginary kid, a little girl, very pretty little girl, and they start giving me sensation and stimulations, right? Nasty, like pedophilia centric ones. And then they're like, but you felt something like that. So, and then it's like, no, okay, you didn't feel something like that. But what you felt is like when you've watched documentary about, let's just say, story about a kid was molested by the man or something like that. When you imagine how they picture these kids, you picture them imagining these kids in this way or something of like that, where you felt it, and then try to create these things where, right? They want me to imagine me imagining it this way. So then they start implanting that in my memories. And then start saying, oh no, but you felt like that before, remember? This is the kind of mind games, manipulations, and disturbing things they do to me. They make me experience reactions towards these babies, right? These kids. Then they try to make me imagine, okay, how can we start training his brain to think in these ways? And it's like, okay, you've watched documentaries and things about, horrible things that happen to kids, and you then try to make me imagine, you felt like you imagine how this disgusting person will picture this kid. And now, once they make you imagine that, or make you think that you've imagined it that way, they start implanting this way of thinking about kids in your memories and think, oh, you see, you felt like this. This is natural. It's nasty. It's disgusting. And me, I don't have no problem expressing what I'm saying. I have no problem. And of course, what they're trying to do is slowly erase me and implanting me with these ways of thinking about babies and kids. It's a nasty low life. Because what they're trying to do is to try to make it seem like these ways of thinking is something that happens naturally or something that's organically happening. At this point, I've made enough videos to be validated that and showing the pattern. They've been doing this and slowly erasing my memories and finding ways to implant my memories in different ways. And then you hear these bottom feeders going through what I've said before, going through scripts and repetitions, which, ironically enough, those tactics are the same tactics that the CIA have been using to disorient and confuse the target individual, which happen to have actually pedophiles there. And then they try to use intimidation tactics, with noise of chains and things like that, to try to get you to accept these things. Literally try to brainwash you into accepting this nastiness. It's so disturbing. I'm not going to let them do their job thinking that I'm going to subscribe to it. For me, I will never let them live that fantasy. I will never let them even believe that these things was something I subscribe to. No, you are forcing me to think about it like this. Think about kids in these ways. Nasty. No matter how you're trying to, they try to find ways to implant this in my memories, so they can be like, oh, this is how you were thinking. They're disgusting low life. So to all my target individuals, do never subscribe. Matter of fact, oh, for me, I recommend. This is what I recommend. Um, when they do these things, not only don't subscribe to it, describe what's happening to you. You'll never know who can be watching this and relate to this.
Trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. It's disgusting, disgusting. Take this whole thing into account so much. I make it so dramatic. It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. It's disgusting, disgusting, disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
I can be free from this torture. Every day has been a miracle of survival. I also experience what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture.
The targets were forced to perform homosexual acts on each other against their will and religion in order not to be beaten or killed. This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their mind.
In 2015, I began to experience what some call V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as destructive and violent. I often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes. It also includes
able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts, and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
8 billion brains on the planet, potentially. Read them. Koreans. Underwater.
How do you explain this is happening to Len? How do you rationalize it?
Him in private. Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
Can I talk? Here's how I do my studies, and I wanted to find the commonalities, but I have to throw away the ones I'm uncertain about that are true targets. You know, maybe there's natural schizophrenia, there's a whole bunch of chemical imbalances,
Right,
etc.
right.
These weapons can actually induce and mimic all those diseases and effects. But the conversations, the scripts they're called, are always the same. I've heard them all. They're slightly tailored for each individual, but they're scripts. And they're meant to confuse the very derogatory. That's just typical breakdown. If you've ever been to boot camp, you're a worm until you're part of the team. And why would you want to break down the ego of that person? To rebuild it. So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality spies, and information couriers, people that will carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this. And so anyway, my interview with Len, he very well described a typical breakdown script that's used on almost all the TI victims. TI stands for targeted individuals. Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and those are the confusion tactics. And when they're breaking down the ego of the human through all the pains and tortures and the verbal breakdown, these are typical CIA torture scripts. I mean, Kubark manual. And they do good cop, bad cop interrogation called Jeff and Mutt. And
had sexual contact with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. The CIA did not answer detailed questions, saying only that the agency takes all allegations of possible criminal misconduct committed by personnel seriously. So you're saying the reason why they didn't take this more seriously, why there weren't actual prosecutions that were carried out, is because what they were trying to not only protect their agency, but trying to protect the country from being compromised in some way by our foreign enemies who would use this information in some kind of bribery scheme?
I think that it's actually quite worse than that.